Hey, what's up, folks? It's your friend Phil here again, project management trainer and coach, here to talk to you about the PMP exam and areas of concentration. So regarding these areas of concentration, folks, we've covered initiating and closing and executing, and we've also covered integration. So I'm kind of trying to help you narrow your focus on these processes within the different areas. So let's hone in today on the monitoring and controlling process group. There's quite a lot to be said about the monitoring and controlling process group. I'll try to make it as brief as possible. That doesn't mean that's all there is to talk about, but I'll try to squeeze everything in. So right off the bat, when you take a look at the process groups, the monitoring and controlling process group, it has, in terms of rank, I would put it as number 4, just before planning in terms of bang for your buck. Executing gives you the biggest bang for your buck. Well, let me start again. Closing gives you the biggest bang for your buck at 7% a pop, followed by initiating at 6.5% a pop for each process, and then executing comes next, which gives you roughly 3+% per process on the exam, and then that's followed by monitoring and controlling, which gives you roughly 2%. And then, of course, planning in terms of the weightiness of each process. So monitoring and controlling at 2% a pop has a lot of commonalities across the processes. When you boil it down, what you discover is the outputs being extremely similar. You also find perform integrated change control is a receptor process absorbing lots of the change requests. In fact, all the change requests from monitoring and controlling outside of integration and from monitor and control project work go back into perform integrated change control. So it's a receptor of lots of these outputs in the form of change requests. In addition to this, another commonality that cuts across the board is work performance information is an output of every monitoring and controlling process outside of integration. And again, integration serves as a receptor for these work performance information outputs. So you got all these WPIs going back into monitor and control project work. So it's another of those processes. Monitor and control project work is another of those processes that acts as a receptor of outputs from other places outside of integration. And that is what perform integrated change control and monitor and control project work have in common, as far as them both being integrative in nature and receptor. I call them receptor processes because they're taken from one place and they're compiling or they are processing. You see, in perform integrated change control, you have the processing of change requests, and the compilation of those change requests gets put into the change log. In monitor and control project work, you have it receiving all of these WPIs, and ultimately all of this work performance information from the different processes becomes part of a work performance report. So the job of the project manager in that process is to take a look at all the different pieces of WPI, compile, collate, put them in the right format, include them in the relevant reports, because some projects have so many different reports. It's the job of the project manager to take a look at all the WPI available and to decide where to put each piece of this WPI and craft the report in such a way that it makes sense. You're not putting in too much information, you're not putting in too little, it's just right. So in that regard, we can see massive sweeping commonalities, work performance information from everywhere in monitoring and controlling. Change requests, well, when I say everywhere, outside of integration. Change requests from everywhere outside of integration and going back into integration, you see. Another important commonality are the outputs in general. Once you step outside of integration, you see some sweeping generalizations that you can make, such as change requests being an output, WPI being an output, project management plan updates being an output, project documents updates being an output, and in some instances, OPA updates as an output. And that really, as you're studying, I would consider that to be easy, low-hanging fruit that you don't even need to sweat, because it's a recurring theme across so many of the processes. You don't even need to cram it. You just need to remember, okay, that's a generalization across majority of monitoring and controlling outside of integration. So what I'm sharing with you will help you. It will help you fine-tune your focus. And when you're concentrating on stuff, hopefully you're not going to be concentrating on the small stuff. Don't concentrate on cramming these generalizations process by process. Just know it once, and you come across any other process, oh, that's a rule that these processes have this or that. So if you can get those generalizations down, it frees up time for you to focus on other things. See? So what else should you be focusing on? Well, let's look for some additional generalizations. Now, this is not all-inclusive, doesn't sweep across everywhere. But regarding those grouped and ungrouped tools and techniques, if I were you, I would look for all of those ones which have data analysis within monitoring and controlling, because a lot of them have data analysis. See? A lot of them have data analysis as a tool and technique, because you're analyzing one thing or another in monitoring and controlling. You're analyzing the condition of the project, the state of the project. Are we late? Are we early? Are we behind? Have we spent too much? What should we do to catch up? What should we do to get our resources back on track? All of that stuff, you see. So I want to encourage you to piece apart the PMBOK guide, looking for these areas of concentration, if you will. Okay? And once you find them, you know what to spend more time on. If it's a generalization that you can make across 4, 5, 6 processes, it makes life easier. You don't have to cram process by process. Okay, what else? Regarding the inputs, of course, project management plan is always an input to these. In fact, the project management plan is an input to 47 of the processes except itself, where you get the plan from. The project management plan is not an input back into itself, and it's not an input to develop project charter. But apart from that, it goes everywhere else, even identify stakeholders. So let's see. Let's go through, let me call them out one by one, just as a memory jogger for you, these major outputs of monitor and control project work. So let's start from the top. Did I just say monitor and control project work? The monitoring and controlling process group. Do you ever get them mixed up? Monitor and control project work and the monitoring and controlling process group? Don't they throw you for a loop? Oh dear. Okay, so let's start off from monitor and control project work. The major output, I've talked about this. It's your work performance reports, and it's a very important one. This is what you're going to be distributing in managed communications. So you really need to know what is in it, because it's a core part of what you communicate as a project manager. Okay. And that is a major output. Okay, next, going down to perform integrated change control. there are two major outputs. One of them is kind of cloaked in project documents updates. Unfortunately for many, they will miss this piece because in your project documents updates, you have the change log, which is a log of all the changes that are requested and made on the project. So if you don't read in between the lines, you'll miss out on that. You don't want to miss out on that. And trying to get my bearings. This sun is something else. Okay, so like I said, the change log is a log of all these change requests, those that are approved, pending, on hold, whatever you want to call them. They are all documented in the change log. So it is a very, very important document. However, it is buried in project documents updates. This is quite an interesting rendition from the sun today. Okay. Very, very intense. So the other output from here is called approved change requests. That's the other output of performing a great change control. Again, another one you want to keep note of. You want to track all the places it goes to. You see, so if I was studying for the exam, guys, the stuff I'm telling you that is like one-offs. I'm not telling you all the, stuff that you already know, the sweeping generalizations. I'm focusing on those core, those unique inputs, those unique tools and techniques, those unique outputs. So that means once you've cleared all the generalizations, you can then focus on, those very special ones. What else? Okay, so that's performing a great change control. Another relationship people often overlook is work performance reports going into your performing a great change control. Because as the change control board or whoever is approving or rejecting changes is doing that, they may want to look at those work performance reports to see the state of the project, and from there decide whether to approve or reject those change requests based on the current reports. So going down, let's be quick about it. Going down, control scope comes after validate scope, and there's really nothing extraordinary in that one. But for validate scope, it's your accepted deliverables. Going down to control schedule, it would be your schedule forecast. Going down to cost, it would be your cost forecast. Going down to quality, there's quite a lot of stuff here. I can't remember all of it now, but one of the major outputs is your verified deliverables. One of the major tools and techniques is a sub technique, which is your approved change request review. Read that up. And then there are some unique inputs that you need to be aware of. Let me see if I can fish these out for you. 1 second. I take my PMBOK everywhere. The PMBOK guide is with me 24/7, which sounds a bit sad, doesn't it? Carrying about the PMBOK guide 24/7. Okay. So in quality, control quality that is, we have some unique inputs. So control quality has approved change requests going in, deliverables going in, and under project documents, it cloaks test and evaluation documents, which are important. Test and evaluation documents, this is coming from, it's unfortunate when they don't show this, But this is coming from manage quality. No, hang on a second. Let me make sure. Yes, this is coming from manage quality. So test and evaluation document is one you want to look out for. Okay, open up the PMP guide, read it, see what it's about. See the documents that you use for testing and evaluation. These are crafted in managed quality, and they become part of the inputs to control quality. You do need to know that. All right, so test and evaluation documents, approved change requests, deliverables, WPD, of course. And I didn't even mention that. I'm glad I'm looking at this because I just took it for granted. Another sweeping generalization in monitoring and controlling is work performance data going into every process within monitoring and controlling, but outside of integration. You see, these sweeping generalizations, they will help you. I call them blanket statements. They will help you as you study. Okay? And let's get started with the tools and techniques, because there are quite a number of them that are not that common, checklists, check sheets, statistical sampling, questionnaires and well, we've seen that before. Root cause analysis, not too common. Testing/product evaluations, inspection, cause and effect diagrams, control charts, histograms, scatter diagrams. Those are quite unique. I know you've heard of some of these before, but these are quite unique. And I want to encourage you to open up your guide. I just use that as an example. Do the same for all the other monitoring and controlling processes. Okay? What else? Going down the list, we get to resource management. So again, control resources, understanding those unique things that you do and get, like problem solving being used there, so on and so forth. Communications, understanding the various communication types that are at play, and understanding what you do in controlling communication, monitoring, communications. Going down to risk, monitor risk. Again, understanding what you do in monitor risks, and understanding that it is in this process that you identify new risks. So the trick question, where do you identify new risks? Just understand that you do it as you're monitoring and controlling the project as a whole. And then control procurements, pretty straightforward. Understand claims administration and what it means. And lastly, monitor stakeholder engagement. So I've gone over a lot of stuff very rapidly, but I'm hoping that it jogs your memory. For me, I would probably give this a day and go through every one of these processes in detail one day before my exam. So take one day out to do your executing, one day out to do your initiating and closing, one day out to do your monitoring and controlling. And regarding planning, hold on to that thought, because it's coming. I will address what I think you should do with planning in the next episode. So thank you for sticking with me. This has been a bit of a long one, but it is a significant area, and there are many processes in it and many tools and techniques that can get you mixed up and wound up. So I hope that helps. I'll speak to you again soon. Okay? Keep it real. Hit those books hard. Do what you need to do. I'll talk to you soon. Take care and bye for now.